Hello and welcome to our weekend review for this week. We are going to be looking into the markets as usual. We would start from the DXY, which is a dollar currency index. But then before that, we want to look into the economic calendar. We are going to look at that. Let me open this. XM. I like to look at it from XM. Okay, so the economic calendar, we are going to start by looking at that. So we would look at what's happening in the market this week, what we expect. We'll look at the news and announcements expected for the week and what impact they may have on the market before we continue to look at the market starting from DXY as usual. So let's look at it. I have filtered this to show us the news and announcements and reports with medium to high impact on the market, okay? And we have a couple of them. For today, I'm going to now focus on the major currencies only. So for today, we have retail sales month over month for Australian dollar, and we had 1.3 as against the 0.3 expected figure, which is higher than expected. Was that reflected in the market? We would take a look at it later. And later today, we are expecting ECB's lane speech. And on Tuesday, what is the one with high impact that we're expecting? We have some couple of moderate impact news for Australian dollar, for yen, for euro. Then for the USD, we have high impact news on CB consumer confidence for August, job openings. We have FOMC member speech, Williams' speech. We're going to be expecting that as well. We would also look at weekly crude oil stock. All right, that could have impact on the market as well. So that's what we're expecting for Tuesday. How about Wednesday? On Wednesday, we also have a couple of moderate impact news, medium impact news for yen, for New Zealand dollar, for Australian dollar, euro for euro. Then we have high impact news on euro, which is German employment change. Okay, medium impact news, German unemployment change. Okay, that's the one with high impact. And we're also expecting German unemployment rates. Okay. Let's see, CPI, we're also expecting that for euro. So I think there's a lot to be expected on euro on Wednesday. Maybe that could give us some impact, could make some impact on euro and give us a clearer direction. We see that euro has been weak for some time. However, this morning, Monday, we are looking into the market and we see that euro seems to be a bit stronger compared to the other currencies. Euro has been stronger than most of the other currencies. Earlier in the morning when I was checking, it was only USD that euro wasn't strong against. But as I check again now, I see that euro has taken over and is now stronger than the US dollar. So euro is kind of strong today, but on Wednesday, maybe we'll see what happens, and maybe there is going to be some change in direction based on all of this news we're expecting to have on euro this coming Wednesday. So let's look on, let's see which other one do we expect, what else do we have that we're expecting in the market this week. Canadian dollar, that same Wednesday, Canadian dollar, USD, we have ADP non-farm employment change. We have Canadian dollar GDP for month-over-month GDP, even year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter. We're going to see all of that on Canadian dollar. And then the USD, we're going to see crude oil inventories for the US dollar. Then what else? On Thursday, we would be expecting to see euro, German manufacturing PMI. This would help us have an idea of the inflation rate based on the manufacturing figure. We would also have the same manufacturing PMI for GDP. USD, we're looking at initial jobless claim. And I know we have the NFP this week as well on Friday, non-farm payroll, which usually have impact on the market, like we saw in the last month's NFP record review. All right, so that's basically what we're expecting in the news. We've taken a lot of look at a couple of them. That's what we're expecting. Now let's go look at dollar index, okay, the US currency index. What do we have? We have a resistance, a small resistance here that got touched, and now it is trying to go down. What are we expecting this week? I feel that this is trending up, right? It's broken above the high that we have here. It has retraced, it's back up. However, we have a high here that is not yet taken out, and we see that it got back to the high today, and now it is looking down. So maybe during this week we may see some bearishness before we see continuation to the upside again. So I'm more neutral to bearish in this. However, if we have a break above this high, or the price comes above this high later during the week, then I'll be expecting that this is going to continue up. Okay, so that's something I'm paying attention to. Let's look at BTC. BTC is bearish for me. I have a sell Hongwen. You see that we have a downtrend. We have this bearish flag, and last week candle that closed bearish. Sorry, last 2 weeks that closed bearish. Last week also closed bearish, and now I'm expecting to see some correction and then continuation. Okay, but it's still, my bias on this remains bearish. Let's look at gold. Gold is also looking bearish for me. For gold, I have been looking at this low where we have a strong support that has been touched a couple of times. You should also remember to, anytime you're looking at supply demand areas or support and resistance, you should use zones more than what is it called, more than just one horizontal line. But for this, we see that this exact horizontal line has been touched a couple of times. So touched again at this point, and then it pushed up. Now it is coming back down, and I think that this is likely going to get back to this before it pushes up or it breaks. If it breaks it, then we're expect that this is going to go down for a more extended period of time. But in the recent time, it is still bearish. The market is still bearish. I would be careful buying any time around here. I see more of bearishness than bullishness. Okay, that's on gold. Let's take a look at oil. What do we have for oil? Oil is also been bearish for some time. So we have this engulfing bearish candle. Let me remove what I have there too. We'll have this engulfing bearish candle that broke my 50 moving average on the weekly. And if you look at the 50 moving average, what has it been doing? It initially was serving as dynamic resistance here, but now it started serving as dynamic support after that got broken to the upside. At the time, you see it touches, retraces on it, but what do we have? An engulfing bearish candle breaking that point. Now that engulfing candle is serving more like a mother bar if we are looking at it, and these are still inside that mother bar. We need to see a break to the bottom side or to break. So a breakout of the bar or to the bottom or to the upside will give us a clearer direction. This is still looking bearish for me. Last candle is more like an indecision candle that got to the 50 moving average and couldn't close above it. Now we're playing a little bit above it, but seeing any move a little bit down below here would give me a reason to want to look for sell. But if I see movement up, then we start looking to buy. But looking at the fundamental as well, more to the sell side is supported than the buy side, although we were expecting, we heard in the news last week that Iran is going to be exporting more crude oil. And if that happens, you know, when the supply becomes higher than demand, what happens? The price begins to fall. So if we have more supply based on other zones exporting oil, perhaps the price will come down. But for now, what are we seeing? It's still bearish. Okay, let's take a look at first Ethereum. We'll look at BTC the other time, Bitcoin. Ethereum is also looking the same way. We have two bearish week, last week and the week before bearish. Currently, it is trying to retrace, and we expect to see continuation again. Now, Canadian dollar, USD Canadian dollar, what do we have? We have a range that got broken to the upside. Then again, more like a range. We have a bearish pin bar here. Now the price had got to a resistance and initial support here, which turns to a resistance here. Now that's where the price touched last week. It hasn't been able to break above that again this week. Price is playing around there. If I see some movement to the downside that gives me a reason to want to buy, then I buy, sorry, to want to sell, then I would rather sell, at least in the short term, maybe some bearishness before we see a break. If we see a break above that the upper horizontal line, which is at 1.307 thereabout, then I'll be expecting to see bullishness this week. But as long as it remains below it, I will be selling. And I see that today, we see that dollar is trying to retrace, right, from that move to the upside that we had seen last week. And if that happens, if there's going to be retracement, then it is very likely that Canadian dollar would get stronger, which would make us see a sell opportunity with USD Canadian dollar. Right, let's see Euro USD. What do we have? Euro USD has been bearish. It got to the support zone as well. However, and what do we see? We see that last candle closed a little bit of indecision, though a bearish candle, because it closed lower than the week before. Now we are beginning to see a move to the upside, and so we'll pay attention and see how well this goes. But this is looking like, at least in the earlier part of the week, I'm expecting to see correction before we see continuation, if there's going to be continuation. However, this could also change, but looking at the fundamentals, nothing serious. I am not so bullish with Euro, because nothing serious to change the direction yet. However, I think between Euro and USD, the one-to-one parity line is still being dragged a lot, you know, so the price tried to go down below the one-to-one, and now we are around 0.999, you know. So let's see, is it going to break back and go above the one? In about 10 pip from where we are, or 11 pip, we're going to get back to 1.0. And if that happens, maybe we would see some bullishness, at least go back a little bit up to retrace this bearish engulfing that we have before we see another continuation. Let's look at Aussie USD. Aussie USD, we have this bearish engulfing candle. Last week closed bearish. This week had gone a little bit down, now trying to go up. I'll be careful with this. It looks more bearish for me, but because of a little bit of weakness that we are seeing in dollar today, Aussie is trying to go up, you know, but not really having the strength, because Aussie seems to be weak at this time. Aussie and NZD from that zone are a bit weak a little bit at this time. And that's why you would see, compared to Euro that we have just seen, compared to other currencies, it looks like Aussie USD isn't really moving so much yet. Let's look at GBP. USD, GBP has also been bearish. Last week had closed bearish. The week before had closed as an engulfing bearish candle. Now it's around the support zone. Now it's a zone because I'll be looking at it from where it is down to around the week. So it is possible that it pushes down a little more, but I think we are later going to see some correction to the upside, or perhaps we are going to start seeing the correction now, and afterward we would see continuation to the downside. Okay, let's see NZD USD. NZD USD also bearish, really bearish, but I'm also expecting to see some level of correction. This one, we had an engulfing bearish candle closing 2 weeks ago. Last week had closed with a bearish pin bar, engulfing bearish candle, bearish pin bar. What is that indicating? The market is bearish. Correction, pullback, enter. That's what I'll be looking for. USD CHF, what do we have? USD CHF, the trend is still down, kind of. However, we see that the I that was from, let's remove all the things I have on this chart. Okay, so I see that the trend was down. However, we broke past this bearish engulfing candle we have here. Last week candle closed higher than it, so it has, we have this closing outside all of that movement to the downside, and this is indicating that we may begin to see a continuation of the bulls. So if that is going to happen, how do we know? I expect to see some level of pullback a little bit and then continuation, in order for me to expect that this bearish trend is now changing to a bullish trend. Okay, so it is moving up, indicating dollar strength, right? But last week candle had closed with some wick above, and this week Monday is already trying to push down. So that for me looks like we are going to see some correction, continuation. That's what I am focusing on. USD yen, let's see. USD yen for this, the market has been bullish. However, we go to around the major support resistance here, and what do we see? It touched it today, and it is trying to continue down. Last week had closed bullish, but now because this resistance has been touched, I expect to see a pullback or for continuation, or maybe even a double top that will give us an indication for a change in direction. But for now, if I am forced to take a trade, I would rather sell than buy in the short term, very short term. Could be like an intraday or day trade. But if I later find that this the resistance gets taken out and there's a break above it, then I'll look to continue buying. Let's see Euro AUD. Euro AUD bearish. However, last week had closed a little bit higher. Okay, with a pin bar, kind of bullish pin bar, though bearish candle, but it has a long wick below. So I'm expecting to see some bullishness early this week, even if the bears are going to continue. But if it pushes up higher, then we have a double bottom, which will give us an indication for a buy. What do we have with Euro Canadian dollar? It looks the same way. We have, let's remove all of this. We have a pin bar closing last week. It leaves a wick below. In that case, I'll be expecting to see some bullishness, but look at the 2 weeks before then, bearish pin bars indicating sell. So more like this may form some range of consolidation for a while, and maybe we see the continuation to the downside or a total change in direction. So maybe this one, I could wait to see what I want to do there, but in the short term, it's still trying to be bullish. And as we know, the short term will come before the long term. So if you look to look into the lower time frame, for instance, and you see what momentum you're seeing there, it could reflect on the higher time frame later, even if it is not immediately. Okay, so let's look at Euro Yen. For Euro Yen, this is looking bullish at the time. It may continue down, maybe it pushes up a little more, and then it comes down and comes break below here and form at this head and shoulder for us. But right now, what do we see? Bullish momentum. Look at all of these candles, leaving longer wicks below. And now we see a bullish candle forming for this earlier part of the week already. Euro NZD, what do we have there? Well, it's all looking bullish as well. Still below my 50 moving average on the weekly, but it's still looking all bullish. Last week had closed like a bullish pin bar. The week before had closed like a big bullish candle. Now we are still looking bullish. So Euro seems to gain some level of strength today, and it is trying to also get higher than Swiss franc. You know, sometimes they have like mirror pair and mirror currencies approach. There are times that many times Euro and CHF would be moving in a range because they do about the same thing. They're from the same zone and all of that. But there are times the bears get stronger, and you see they have this long bearish period where Swiss franc gets much stronger than Euro. Now Swiss franc is turning direction. It looks like we have an indecision closing last week, and now this is starting bullish. This to me looks like it's going to be bullish up toward the 0.9725 before we see change to the downside. Let's look at Euro British Pound. Euro British Pound still looking bullish. We see this bullish and bullish pin bar closing the last 2 weeks, and now this is bullish. Pullback entry would be an opportunity to find a buy. It's looking bullish for me in the early part of the week. CAD yen, what do we have? Still looking bullish as well. The trend has been bullish. This is still looking bullish. Last week at close, I same decision though. So it is possible that when it hits the resistance there, it's unable to break it and it continues down. GBP yen, what do we have? We have some bearishness, but the candles are not really, they don't look strong. They are reflecting some weakness kind of to the downside, both down and up. So there isn't much more of imbalance seen there. All right. And we know that we want to see quite good imbalance between the buyers and sellers in order for us to have a clearer view of the direction the market is going to go. So let's see what happens. I'll rather remain neutral in this until I see a clear move to either the up or to the downside. What do we have with this? Bearishness. That's what I'm seeing with this. However, I'm expecting to see some correction before I see continuation. You see that we have like a range here, which got broken with a bearish engulfing candle. The week after, at close with a bearish pin bar. Now, last week also closed with a bearish candle, but there's a little bit of support there that hasn't been taken out yet. So what are we looking at? We are looking at this retracing and continuing its way down. GBP CHF, all looking bearish, by the way. Most of the British pound pair are looking bearish, but looking like we may have some correction, pullback before we see continuation. Let's look at British pound, Canadian dollar, bearish, looking the same like the ones we've seen. This one, British pound NZD, looks a little bit bullish compared to the ones we've seen. So if I'm going to go bullish on anyone, it would rather be this for me. But looking at how the days close in the earlier part of the week would also give me a better idea of what I want to do and how I want to go about it. Well, this is how much I'm going to be covering in this class or in this weekly market outlook for this week. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do well to do that today, right away. Subscribe to this channel so that you can have opportunity to continue to watch amazing trading tips like this every time on this channel. And if you're looking to learn to do trading right, it's almost the end of the month. This is a good time for you to get started so that you can join our September class on the Forex Varsity. So if you're looking to learn to do trading right, please reach out. There's a WhatsApp number below the video that would guide you on how you can, that would help you send a chat to us and relate with us, and we can guide you on how you can go about trading, be a better trader, and attain consistency in the market. Thank you all very much for joining me. If you have any currency pair in mind that you want me to be looking at subsequently, or you have any question, please leave it in the comment section and I'll get to it. Enjoy. Have a beautiful day ahead of you. Cheers.